listen to that crispy, crunchy crust. Guys, I just wanted you to get to see this beautiful meatball pizza before I mess it up by chopping it up with my mezzaluna here. I'm so excited about it. It smells so basil-y and delicious. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity real quick. I'm starting a new segment in my videos called Momentous Meals, Beautiful Bites, where you, yes, you, call in and tell me about some of the best meals you ever had, best food, most memorable, most emotional, whatever it meant to you. Just tell me in your own concise, pithy way, and we'll share it on the show. And we have a phone number set up for that. It's hard to remember, so here we go. 929-383-0579. Again, that's 929-383-0579. Call and leave me a message, or you can do a voice memo on your phone and send it to nomnomsandwichboy@gmail.com. Okay, I gotta cut this up. This is gonna be so good. You guys know what I really didn't give much thought to? How putting one meatball in the center of the pizza would end up so tragically dissected when I cut it into slices, but it doesn't matter. It'll still be delicious. This just came out of the oven. It's probably super hot. Wow, this is too many meatballs, actually. Look at that stretchy cheese. Because I put whole slices of provolone on here. A little messy. This is a heavy, delicious pizza with my venison meatballs. These are actually venison, pork, and lamb meatballs. It's just kind of a wild combination, but it turned out super good. Every once in a while I see venison in stores, and I just have to buy it because I'm like, how can I pass up the chance to have deer meat? If you don't know what venison is a deer meat. Ooh, there's a little bit of spice to these. There's a lot of cayenne pepper in the meatballs. But I made these meatballs from scratch, tons of seasoning, basil, pepper, red pepper flakes. I got 3 different types of cheese on this pizza. I did like provolone slices on top of the tomato sauce, which the tomato sauce is a sauce that the meatballs cooked in, so it's super good. And then I put down these half slices of my meatballs, and on top of that we have Asiago and finely shredded Romano. There's this Romano they always have on sale here in Brooklyn. The couple stores I go to, and it's so good and so cheap. It's like a really simple, salty, savory flavor. Not super complex, but sometimes I like that. Like, you can buy your fancy imported, Parmigiano Reggiano. It'll be delicious. It'll be floral. It'll be nutty. But that kind of fancy cheese, it costs, $30 a pound. I don't really want to even put that on a pizza or pasta. I want to eat that on its own, because that complex flavor can override everything else. Here I'm just looking for savory saltiness. And I got it. It's like the perfect balance with that semi-sweet, tomato sauce. And Lord, the basil. Some people put basil on a pizza after it comes out of the oven. Do you, I guess. But I like to get it like melted into the cheese and a little bit crisped up. So I put it on there right under the cheese. I don't like just having loose leaves on my pizza. You see like some fancy pizza restaurants, and you'll get like a pizza with arugula on it, and they just put a pile of arugula on it after it comes out the oven. What am I supposed to do with that? I almost let loose a curse. I'm getting angry up in here. But you know what? Do pizza however you want to do it in your home. I don't know if I'm gonna pay for the pizza. Like, I want to have it my way, which is why I generally make them at home. I can do whatever I want. Speaking of doing whatever I want, guess what I did today? No guesses? I went on my first maskless walk. Very exciting. Well, first in like a year. I walked 17 miles today. That's my typical, I'm eating something for camera today walk, is I walked 17 miles. And I had my mask around my arm, the whole time. Because I had to go to the grocery store. You got to put it on then. But the rest of the time, no mask. I felt so free. I felt so, not that I felt constricted by the mask, but just feeling the breeze on my face. Oh, nothing wrong with masks. I love masks. It's very important. But I was just happy to start evening out my tan lines I got here. Because when you're exercising outside like 5 hours a day, I had and I probably still do have mad tan lines. The first time I noticed my mask tan lines, I thought that I was having like some nice like benefits of losing some weight. I thought my face was getting more like angular. And I was like, nope. It took me a second. I finally realized that's just a line down your cheekbone from the mask string blocking the sun. Such a disappointment. This pizza is amazing. Look at it. The little air bubbles in the crust. That is what you want to see. If you guys have been following along, watching all my videos, which I hope you are, you better be liking and, well, you subscribe once and then you like every video. Please. Thank you. I need the help. I need to get up out this apartment and someplace nicer, and you can do it for me by liking and subscribing. But if you've been following along, you know there's been the saga of tree worship I've been seeing. People hugging trees, people rubbing against trees. Today I saw a man, I'm pretty sure, stroking a tree branch. Which, do you, brother? But there's been a break in the case. This weekend, my wife and I went up to Fort Tryon Park. Fort Tryon Park is this gorgeous park, probably one of the most gorgeous parks in all of New York City. It's on top of like a bluff, a hilltop, overlooking the Hudson River. You can see for miles. There's like beautiful rock formations. There's, I think it's a reconstruction of old Fort Washington. And there is the medieval branch of the Met Museum. And they have this reconstructed like monastery building, the cloisters. And parts of the building are actually historical, like archways and doors and windows that have been transported over from Europe from ruins, dating back to like Oh God, I don't even know how far it goes back. I know there were things from like the 1100s there. So the building itself is of like architectural merit and historical merit. And then they house all this art and artifacts inside. It's the perfect environment. They have gardens, they have ancient columns, capitals, the top of columns. It's so fun. But we went up there to go to the museum, and then we were walking around the park. And I saw in the park a clue to the tree hugging thing. I need some water, and I'm going to tell you what that clue was. Oh, I love water. So refreshing. So I saw a tree, of course a tree, in Fort Tryon Park, and it had a Parks Department sign on it. And on that sign it read, white text on the green Parks Department background. It said, "It's safe to hug me." I was like, oh, it's a pandemic thing. People who are lonely have been hugging and rubbing trees. Because they can't hug and rub on each other. Of course, that doesn't explain the people praying to a tree, or the guy like measuring the ohms or the voltage or whatever of a tree that I saw. But maybe they're unrelated. I could have just, I could just approach these people and ask what they're doing out of genuine curiosity. But that would require like talking to strangers, and I don't have that in me. I'm sorry. That is not who I am. The other day, a cashier at the grocery store on my block tried to talk to me while we were checking out, which is fine. But he was kind of mumbling, then threw a mask as he was looking down into the bag that he was packing. So I did not understand a word he said. And he said something like, that felt like a joke. Just in terms of the tonality and the phrasing. So I just went, at the end of it, because I didn't know what to do. And then he started acting like really awkward because I hadn't said anything. And he like backpedaled on it, and he's like, oh no, but I'm serious. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about in my head. But I just kept going, yeah. I'm thinking just like, bag up my stuff so I can leave and get out of this situation. And finally, he finished bagging my items. I said thank you, and I left. And then I finally realized he had made some awkward joke based off of the question. He said, do you need a bag? Do you need double bags? Because here in New York City, in New York State, you have to pay for your paper bags. And I said, no, single is fine. And he made a joke, I think, about his relationship status. And I didn't hear it, and I didn't get it. And so I made him feel very vulnerable and awkward by just tittering at him and not replying. And I feel really bad about it. But that's why you shouldn't try to converse while you're checking out. Similar thing happened to me at Whole Foods the other day. The checkout person was trying to ask me some questions about cookies. And at Whole Foods, they're like in a plexiglass cube. And we have masks on. And the person, again, soft-spoken. I think they're doing it on purpose to mess with me. Maybe. Guys, this crust is so good. I have a lot of people ask questions about my crust. And I gotta tell you guys, I cheat. One second, I'll show you what I use. So I buy this Papa Sal's. And it comes from the frozen section of my grocery store. I sit it out and I let it start to rise after it thaws. And I put it in the fridge. So then it kind of ferments. And I'll let it sit for a week. And that means like you develop all this nice tangy flavor in it, almost like a sourdough. And the longer I let it sit, the more yeast will eventually die off. And so I can kind of control the rise that I get in the end. If I want to get a really thin crust, like super crispy pizza, I'll just let the dough completely die. And then I get this incredibly tangy thin crust pizza that's wonderful. This is somewhere in between. You see, we got like nice rise here. We got air pockets. Still thin crust where I hand stretched it really thin. And I use a pizza stone in my oven. So when I throw down the dough initially, I'm pre-baking it because I don't have a commercial oven. I want to pre-bake it, put toppings on it, put it back in, and finish it off. But I'll put it down on the pizza stone, and I'll reach in, and this is dangerous, kids, don't try it at home, but I'll grab the edges of the dough in the 550-degree oven, and I'll pull it out, stretch it out even more, and stick it to the edges of the stone. And that gets me a really nice thin crisp. But I still get the nice puff on the edge. Now, it's fun to make your own dough from scratch, but like, it's so much mess and extra time that for me it becomes a barrier to actually making the pizza. So I'd rather do it this way so that I will make a pizza. But if you're gonna do it, I suggest going to like the reddit.com/r/pizza, and in the sidebar they have links to a bunch of different recipes for different types of pizza doughs. Including New York style, of course. But hey, I'm very happy with this. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I want to make sure my wife gets a bite, so I'm going to save these and see if she wants some. She was telling me how good it smelled while I cooked it, so I think she might. Remember that phone number I told you guys? Call in, tell me about your meals, and we'll feature you on a future show. And if you haven't yet, remember, get vaccinated, do your part if you can. I'm about to get my second shot in 3 days from when this is filmed. So I'm very excited to be fully back out there, going to restaurants, enjoying myself. Hope you are too. Hope you're living your best life. Thanks for watching. Love you guys.